once again back. It's the incredible Dale Valor's Inner Game Podcast. I'm rapper turned dating coach Dale Valor, your inner game wingman. Listen, here's the deal. If you're new to this podcast, what we're talking about is inner game. What is inner game? Inner game is the relationship that you have with you. If all the other relationships in your life are suffering in large part, and usually it's due to the relationship that you have with you sucks, right? So if you don't like yourself, how can you expect anybody else to either? So here's the deal, man. We're going to go deep on so many inner game concepts in this podcast. I really am glad that you're here. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. If you're a long timer, welcome back. And let's hop in. Listen, guys, I am so excited to be doing this particular episode. And I know I say that every single time, but this time I actually mean it because no, and the reason being is because we've been trying to set this up for a while. And, and this is a topic that, Jannelle, we haven't really talked too much about this, but it's a topic that's also somewhat in my wheelhouse. But you are definitely the expert here. And Jannelle, the Golden Goddess, that's you. And tantra expert and intimacy coach. I got all that right?
You did. Yeah. Tantra
okay,
teacher.
All right, teacher. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So, I guess, the first thing that comes to mind now, I'm, like I said, somewhat educated here, but maybe not as much as you are. All right. So if you could kind of just give a breakdown of what that looks like, what Tantra is like, because I got to believe in the broader sense, most people may have heard the term, but don't really know what it means. Right.
Correct.
So, break it down, what does this look like?
So, yeah, let's start explaining what is Tantra, because a lot of people might have a vague conception or misconception of what it is. So Tantra is a spiritual science that studies energy.
Okay.
That is what it is. And under the umbrella of Tantra, there are so many things like astronomy, astrology, meditation. I can name it, so many. And also has a little bit less than a 10% that talks about intimacy and sexuality. And because that little part is like openly talking about sexuality, is the little part that exploded and became famous.
Right. Okay.
Go figure, right? Because everybody wants to have a good sexual life. So Tantra came to the US like back in the 60s or 70s with all the yogis that came to the United States, with yoga and meditation, like in the era of the hippie and, that's when yoga started spreading in the United States. So it's when Tantra came in. But really, when people hear that word was when the singer Sting, do you remember from the band Police? Yeah. So he did an interview in the Playboy magazine in 1985. And he said, oh, yeah, so I learned Tantra and I have sex with my wife all night. And then it's when people read that and everybody wanted to know what Tantra was. Okay.
Right.
And took even more away a direction towards sexuality. Okay. So the other thing is that people need to know is that Tantra is not only about sexuality and it's not only sexual tricks. So people think that, I'm just going to learn something kinky and then my sexuality is going to improve like that. So it's not only that, it's going to improve your sexuality too, but it's something deeper. It's way, way deeper. Like if you are in a relationship, it can make your relationship sacred.
Okay.
So it's more like a spiritual connection, is much more than just the sexual fast tricks.
I got you. Okay. So like what I'm getting from this is now, you tell me if I'm on the right track or if I'm way off base or what. Okay.
Sure.
But what I'm getting is that, like you said, 10% over here, and then you have the rest of the pie, right? The other 90%. But you need, in order to have that 10%, like really, really popping, you really do need a lot of the other 90% in order to make that happen. Would that be a fair assumption or no?
Wow, you're such a smart guy.
I've been told worse.
I love it. Yes, exactly. So the way I see it is that nowadays the sexual part is like the gateway into
Sure.
tantra, so
Mm-hmm.
everybody wants to learn. But then when you get in, you notice, oh, I need to learn some breathing exercises,
Yeah.
and I need to learn some meditation,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to learn yoga, and
Okay.
all the different. It's to support all this stuff is going to support your sexuality. So
Right.
that's why I'm saying it's not just about learning one single trick or how to do a yoni massage or a lingam massage. If you want to go deeper, you could
Yeah.
obviously.
I get you.
Not everybody wants to go super deep. um at different levels. You know what, I learn to meet my clients at their own level and
Mm-hmm.
wherever they are. So even each consultation, each coaching session is tailored to that person. Like
Yeah.
obviously not everybody wants to become a tantric yogi, and that's perfectly fine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of this is being taken from Eastern philosophy and Eastern principles and things like that. I mean, like you said, the yogis are bringing it over from India or wherever, right? And so that's obviously what they're steeped in, right? So
Mhm.
with that being said, it like meeting somebody where they're at, if they're more of we'll just say more of a rough and tumble type of guy, right? Like they're not trying to, like think like hippie stuff and I mean, like they're more of a blue collar guy, right?
Right.
Like, would this still be applicable for them without bringing in all of the, for a lack of a better term, and I'm not trying to be condescending, woo woo type of
Right.
stuff that goes along with it,
Yeah. You don't need to go all the way woo woo, obviously.
Uh huh.
And like I said, everybody wants to learn because they want a better sex life,
Right.
obviously. So almost the only conditions is to be open.
Mhm.
It's like if I'm telling you, hey, you need to breathe deeply. You need to breathe down into your belly. It's
Mhm.
like be open to do
Yeah.
it. And then when we do a little practices, and then they already like, I can feel it, because it's a different type of breathing. It's a breathing that brings you down into your body.
Right.
So the problem with the people out there is that we are more in our minds than in our bodies.
Hmm.
And you are just thinking or in the future or in the past, and you bypass the present moment.
Yep.
So when you come down into your body and you are in the present moment, you're like, ah. And that is what you need to come into a sexual encounter or a sensual encounter with a partner. You want to be centered in your body and in the present moment.
Right. Yeah. I'm with you 100%. You're speaking my language. Okay. I'm a big advocate of meditation and, breath work and, everything that, that you're talking about.
Mm.
Like, I think for most people across the board, when they hear about an interesting concept, right? And whether that's tantra, whether that's, maybe a new kind of workout program or
Mhm.
a diet or whatever, right? The hardest place is to know where to start.
Mm.
So what would you advocate for, like, hey, I know nothing, but this sounds great. What do I need to do? Like, what's the foundation? Is it more of you're starting with mindset, or are you starting with more of the physical, like breathing exercises, or like where's this going with that?
The thing with tantra is like, it's kind of like yoga. So you need to put yourself in the physical space, like in a class, in a retreat, in a weekend workshop. It's really hard to get it from a book.
Yeah.
There are hundreds of books about tantra, but if you don't have the initiation, they call it, but let's say if you don't see it, and if you don't see the demonstration, if you don't do it with your body, or experience it in your body, it's going to be really hard. You can be reading the book and then like, okay, and now how I do this, so so the truth is that you need to put yourself in a physical space.
Okay.
Yes, or at least with a teacher. Like, it could be online, but with a teacher that is guiding you and telling you how to do things. And I'm telling you this from experience. I've been studying this for a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, I get into the books and I'm like, I don't have idea what they're talking about. So then is when you need to start finding the ways to learn. And there are so many workshops out there, that you can go by yourself, you can go with your partner, but that's the way that you start. Okay. And like I said, having the disponibility and be open to learn. Right. And to say, yes, I'm a beginner and I have a beginner's mind, and I just want to feel, what is this about? Because then, like I told you, the first thing is to come into your body, and then you start feeling different sensations in your body that you probably or haven't feel before, or you haven't feel in a while. And that is what I want you to do, to open up.
I got you. Now, is this something that can be learned kind of, step by step? Like, like, okay, let's work on this over here. Okay, you got a handle on that. Let's introduce this now. Okay, you got a handle on that, and so on and so forth, right? Because I find, and I don't know if you've run into this as much as I have, but I find that more times often than not, people, what they tend to do, like I coach a million guys, all right? And it's like, I'll put it like this. Imagine this. Imagine that you go get a new table from IKEA, right? And you bring that bad boy home. You're like, my living room is or my dining room is gonna pop now because I've got this table. Man, this is gonna be great. And so you open it all up and you're like, okay, there's like 500 pieces here. How do I put this thing together? So you take the instructions, right? And what the smart thing to do would be like, okay, step 1. All right, take out the legs. Step 2, right? And go and do it step by step. But for whatever reason, people tend to, it's like, okay, I'm going to get out the instruction manual and read the entire instruction manual, fold it up, put it away, and start building this table. Man, that thing's going to be so wobbly. You'll be lucky if you'll probably break that thing in half out of frustration. Right. Like, so going, small chunking it step by step by step, would that be the effective way to really learn this, or is it like, here's everything, go with it?
You are so right. The way I see it is like driving. When you start driving, it feels terrifying. It's like you are in the steering wheel and you're like, oh,
and the people with you are even more terrified.
It's like, what am I doing? The people behind me wants to pass me, and they like, and they making me more nervous. So yes, you need practice. That is what happened. You need practice. You need to don't be afraid to mess it up, and don't be afraid to don't do things right. It just keep doing it and keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if you learn something and you don't practice it, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. So people come to me and ask me, okay, how can I do this to my wife? How can I make her orgasm better?
Mm-hmm.
And I can give them the instructions, but if they don't try again until that gets better, they're not gonna do any better.
Yeah,
if that makes
sense. I get you. Do you find like, I can just imagine this scenario playing out in my head. All right, so you're working with somebody, right? And you're like, okay, go do this breathing exercise, and this is how it's done, and that's my impersonation of you, by the way.
But you know that you need to practice. If you teach your clients, I teach my clients breathing exercises. Like one of the most issues the men want to know is, how can I last longer?
Okay.
Right? In bed. Like, I don't want to ejaculate in 3 minutes or 5 minutes, which is like the regular thing out there.
Right.
And I'm telling you, okay, you need to do Kegel exercises, and then combine these with a breathing upwards and making a circle of energy. So you bring the energy upwards. That means you need to do this daily.
Right.
Okay. You need to incorporate it into your routine. I hope that you have a meditation practice,
right,
and an exercise practice, and then you're going to have a breathing exercise practice too.
Gotcha.
If I tell you to do it once and you do it only once, you're not going to get your attention to a higher level.
Right. But what I'm getting at is, do you have clients who are impatient, who are like, why am I over here breathing? Like, let's get to the good stuff. Like, what? Like, do you find that impatience with this being problematic at all?
I don't think it's impatience. I think that what is out there, people think and it happens in all levels, even in health, they think that they're going to find one magic pill and take only one magic pill once, and that is going to be the solution of the problems for life.
God, do I know what you're talking about? I got so many guys that are like, hey, can you give me this clever line to say? So is that everything falls into place and works? It's like, it ain't just what you say, it's what you think, it's what you do. It's, you know what I mean? Like, there isn't, look, if there was a magic pill, I'd be a billionaire,
Yeah, and you know what? That's why I do coaching I like to do coaching for 12 weeks, because like that, you can have a sequence and I can work with you exactly in what your problems are. And I'm going to have a continuity of you progressing. When people say, no, I just want one session, I'm like, you know what? I can give you one session if you want. But
I guess.
But I'm not gonna see your progress. You're not going to see much of a progress or change. This is something that you need to be able and open to work in yourself.
Right.
You need to work in yourself. And if you come in like for a one-time session, I say like, okay, I just want to experience it. I don't want to learn anything. I just want to feel it in my body. I'm like, okay, you can do that. But if you do it more and more, then your body gets used to open up. Sure. Then you start opening up. Your energy starts running better.
Yeah.
So again, if you have only one experience and never again, it's not going to be a good change,
Yeah. No, I get you. Do you like typically work with couples, or
I do
like what's the common theme?
I do see a lot of couples, and I love them so much. Usually are couples that they've been together for 20, 30 years, and they want to rekindle the relationship. So there is a situation that when you are together with your partner for too long, you lose that magnetism, you lose that pulling, that
Right.
attraction, right?
Yeah.
So people wants to feel that and create that attraction again. So there are different, a couple tantric secrets to break down the circle of energy and have that pulling again. It's kind of like the battery of a car.
Right.
You want to have that positive and negative energy pulling and attraction. So they come to me and say like, hey, what can we do to have a better sex life?
Mm-hmm.
And I just guide them, into different tantric rituals.
Mm-hmm.
People get a little defensive when they hear the word rituals, but it's just exercises.
Why do you think
The
that is? Why do you think they get defensive?
um, I would say it's like a misconception in the religion thing.
Okay.
People that is very religious, they might be scared of something that
Okay.
they don't know.
I got you.
But this is nothing bad.
You're not sacrificing a goat.
No, no, no. I'm not heart opening, nothing like that. They just exercises
Mm-hmm.
where you put the two people in different positions, where they get together, they breathe together, they start feeling their energy again together. And then I teach him how to touch each other. I teach them different types of sensual touch, and then the intimate massages. So is um the awaken more the sensuality.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a process. This is something that I like to work. I think that everybody needs more sensuality and not more sexuality.
Yeah, I agree with that. I tell my guys all the time, don't be, this might come across as funny to you. Don't be horny guy. You know what I mean? Like, be sensual, sexual guy. Don't be horny guy, because what I find, I'd like to get your take on this because it's not often, that I get to talk to a kind of an unbiased woman, I guess, if you will.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So like one of the things that I like to put out there is like this, you kind of have in today's day and age, for the most part, I'm painting with a broad brush here, but you tend to have two types of guys. All right. You have the first guy who, like I said, is horny guy. I call that all low vibration energy. All right. So think of, the old school construction worker catcalling women, right?
Right.
Like it's just all low energy. Then conversely, you have all high energy, high vibration guy, right? That displays none of the low energy. Okay. And what do you have there? This is what I tell my guys is that's a recipe for the friend zone, right? Like, because all you're doing is it's just high energy conversation, but it's very, very, very platonic, and you're not introducing any like type of attraction of any sort, And so in essence, what you are is a closeted heterosexual, like, because you're not displaying anything,
Right.
And what you want is a combination of both, and that way, like you're being fully expressive, like being authentic and genuine of everything that you are, not just picking and choosing what you think is going to go well or what you think that she wants to hear. You're just being the real article, you're being fully you in every component, So let me get your take on that.
Yeah. Well, I think the first we need to let the audience understand what is low energy and high energy.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't get confused. So the low energy means they're drinking with a dick head.
Yeah, essentially.
And high energy means they only thinking with this high head, right?
Yes.
And yes, it's good to give. We women, we want these too. We want you to see that you are a thinking person and that you have
Sure.
all things than only the lower energy. But flip or exchange that energy, of course, is gonna be a more rounded human being.
Yeah.
That is what we want. So when they are just the horny person is when they're just going straight for the sex, and like I told you, they can just finish in couple pumps, and that's it. And then they wonder why women, after a while, they don't want to have sex with them anymore.
Right.
So the reason the women don't want to have sex anymore is because they are not having fun. When me, as a woman, I'm not being satisfied or I'm not having enough fun in this sexual encounter,
Right.
I'm not gonna want to have it again or that often, because
Yeah.
for me it's like boring. It's like, what, seriously, it's like, what is for me in this encounter? It's like,
Right.
okay, you getting what you want, you grab me, you have your satisfaction, get on top of me or behind me, and pam pam, thank you, ma'am, and that's it.
Right.
The woman is not satisfied. So
Yeah.
that's why we're like, this, I don't want it. I don't want it. So in Tantra, we say that the man is fire and the woman is water.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to use your fire to warm up the water,
Right.
to make it hot. And just imagine, simple, if you put a pot of water in the stove and you turn it on, how long it takes to boil?
Right. Yeah. It depends how much
When
water
it
you
gets
have, I suppose, but yeah.
normally 20,
Yeah.
20, 30 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the minimum time that you have to take,
Mm-hmm.
20, 30 minutes to work, to foreplay your woman before you get any closer to the sexual encounter,
You know
to the
what's funny
sexual
about
act.
that? What's funny about that is, you hear guys complain about that, right? And it's like, but you're more than
Really?
happy.
Guys complain about that?
Oh yeah, yeah, they do, and that's ridiculous to me, because it's like, you're more than happy to sit down and binge watch The Office for 2 hours. You know what I
9
mean?
hours of that.
Like that's one episode. 20, 30 minutes. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's not a huge time investment. You know what I mean? Like, so to your point, yeah. The way I like to put it is like this, light switches, right? Like, how some are a dial, right? You can, like, okay, it's dark, now it's light, now it's dark, as you turn the dial, right? That women are more like a dial, right? It's where guys are more like a light switch, like it's just either on or off. But there could be, with the dial, it could be anywhere in between on that spectrum of light to dark, And so, yeah, but I like the water example, the boiling water.
Yeah.
I'm stealing that from you, just so you know.
Okay. Give me the credit. I just say, I hear this from Golden Goddess Tantra teacher. That's fine. So, okay. So now let me tell you the real secret. And the men don't want to hear. Okay. The real secret of how this singer make love to his wife all night long. Okay. The secret is to don't ejaculate, or to hold your ejaculation as long as possible.
Right. Yeah.
If you are ejaculating in the first 10 minutes, how are you going to continue the rest of the night?
Well, I mean, I could give you some examples, but continue.
Well, most men can ejaculate once or twice but that is not the point.
Right. No, I'm with you.
So this is the tantric secret that he didn't mention in the interview. Well, because Sting is not a tantra.
Right.
He was just saying what he does, like, oh, I learned this and now I do this, but he didn't explain how.
Right.
So this is the reality. The reality is that you're going to play, you're going to have this foreplay, you're going to have intercourse, sex, and you are not going to ejaculate right there.
Right.
You're going to stop before you ejaculate, and then you're going to take a break, and then after a while, you go again, you start again. Yeah. And you can do that series 2, 3, 4 times in one night or in a date. And that's how you have sex all night.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're going to have an erection for 7 or 8 hours and that you're going to be in and out constantly for 7 and 8 hours. That is not, but that's what some people imagine maybe from that information. No, it's completely normal to have an erection and then go soft again, and have an erection and go soft again, and play and relax, and play and go and do something else, like have a snack and come back. So that's how tantric sex work. That's how you can have a tantric experience all night long.
Well, man, I know that you got a lot of information out of this particular episode. Listen, if you need to go a little bit deeper, always feel free to reach out to me. Look, there's a few ways you can do that. You can shoot me an email. You can send me a DM. I'm easy to find, but the best place that you can find me is at freegiftfromdale.com. It's in the description of the episode, and you're going to get a couple of free gifts there. You'll get the first chapter of my book, Inner Game, and you will also find an exercise to help you find out about yourself and who you really, truly are at the core, okay? And listen, if you haven't subscribed to the channel or the podcast, make sure you do so, man. It takes you 1 second to do it, and it means the world to us here, okay? If you know somebody who could really use this information, feel free to share it, man. Don't hold it to yourself. You know what I mean? So we will see you in the next one.